Good morning. It's December 27th, the last Monday in 2021. I was going to say in December, but it's the last Monday period of 2021. My goodness. It was a long week last week. I didn't work, so that meant being in the house all week. And because, working is really giving me a break away from, taking care of Dad. But I've had a long week to think about things and think about what's going to happen this next year. Think about the videos, think about all the things that Peter and I are going to be up to. And it's given me a headache, to tell you the truth. So I had to eat more chocolate and watch more Hallmark movies just to get over myself. So I hope everything is well with you guys. Today is Meet Me at the Sew Machine, and we're going to do something fun. But before we get started with that, I've been planning, I've been thinking. This is the time of the year I pick a new word for myself to embrace, and I think my new word for this year is will. And that is His will and not my will, because my will is not working out so good. So it's going to be God's will or the highway. So we're going to focus on God's will and see where that gets us. I know it'll get us to a better place. Buying my calendar for the year, I always have a pocket calendar for the year because, I'm such a busy gal, have my busy schedule. And I've been planning some of my cross stitches, and I used to be just a monogamous cross stitcher where I just had one project and I would stitch on it till it was done. But this year I'm embarking on a huge project, and it's going to be my Sunday project. So every Sunday I'm going to cross stitch on it. That gives me 4, sometimes 5 Sundays to work on this project, and hopefully by the end of the year I'll be able to get that done. Then I'm going to have a monthly project, and so on one of the previous videos I did my December project. It was cranberry sampler. Oh, it's at the framers. I can hardly wait to go get it. It's so pretty. I'm excited about that. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm talking really fast. Maybe I should.
You should be excited about that because that's an awesome cross stitch.
Yeah, that was an awesome.
And they can always slow it down too.
Yeah,
in YouTube, you can slow it down.
Oh yeah, you can.
0.75, or you can speed it up real fast.
Yeah, I would sound like, or I would sound like this. I've done that before. Some ladies I follow on YouTube, they talk so slow, and I just have to speed them up. So yeah, you can go to those 3 dots, and you can push that, and down drops a little box, and you can say normal, or speed it up, or slow it down. So yeah, I just discovered that not too long ago. But talking about planning, I think that's what I was talking about, planning. I remembered that we just got these new planners in. This is the Lori Holt planner. I'm sure you've seen it all over YouTube. If you're a big Lori Holt fan, you probably already have one, because this is, and not to pun the phrase, but the bee's knees. Her little symbol is the bee. This is a cloth covered. Ooh, it is so awesome. A cloth covered, silver embossed, spiral bound,
big spirals,
calendar to keep you organized for 2022. People, 2022! It's hard to even say that. I never even thought I would live past 1978. So I don't know. Here we are at 2022. Can you remember when we turned into the 2000s, how we thought the computers were going to all explode? And remember that? We all thought it was doomsday.
What was that called?
I don't remember. It was
Y2K.
Y2K. It was crazy. And now we're all the way to 2022, and we've lived through it. God's will. I'm telling you, God's will. So anyway, this is the calendar. It's very sweet. It's got nice bright pages, and of course this calendar belongs to, that's important to have a page with that on it. But then it starts with January and special dates to remember, like, I don't know, your kids' birthdays. That's a good thing to remember.
You might as well just use one of those markers and write my name.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right. Because is your birthday in January?
No, on that first page.
Oh, on the first
this
page.
Belongs to.
Oh, okay, yeah. This, to write with, you need this set of pens. This is Lori Holt's B and My Bonnet Planner Pens. Look at all those colors. Now, would that not just be beautiful in this planner? You could just get your color fix on. It opens up to a monthly spread, so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on when paydays are. That's the first thing I mark. Is when
Who loves money?
Yeah, who loves money? Paydays on Friday, every other Friday, so you mark the paydays. And I work on Mondays and Fridays, so I'd be marking when I work. And I'd be marking any kind of special events I have, because in March I'm going to Texas again. I didn't know if you guys knew that, but I am. But what I really like, what I really, really like.
I'm zoomed in really close here.
Are ya?
Yep.
Okay, what I really like is these days, like Saturday's the 1st, right here. You can keep track of your water. I'm having a hard time keeping track of if I've taken my pills or not. I've got one of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but of what week? You know, no, I'm just kidding. But I could put here, you know, if I've taken my pills or not. Saturday the 1st, what cross stitch am I going to work on? What kind of plans do I have for my quilting? What's going on that day? Anything special that I need to make a list of that I might want to? If I had this of my mother, if my mother had kept one of these and I had a list of all of her quilts and all the things she made, that would just be so precious to me. So this is kind of a diary calendar kind of a thing going on. I love that it has these nice tabs that have been laminated, and it just is a great, great calendar book. And what I like about it is pretty compact. Now, it's not little like the dime store book, but you know, it's got a lot more to it. So you got your markers, you got your planner, and your stickers. Of course, you know, you got to decorate your thing up with your stickers. Look what I found out on the floor today in the cross stitch department. One of these little bags has a little gussety bottom. Room for my stickers.
What?
And look, a cross stitch pattern. I could even cross stitch on it.
Can you hold that up so I can zoom in on that pattern?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that's
says
lovely.
stitch.
Stitch.
It's hard to read from the package, but it says stitch.
That's cool.
Or you could put your name on it. You could stitch your name on it. You can stitch anything you want to on it. It's sort of like that perforated paper, only it's plastic. You know what I mean? So, and you could just take that with you wherever you go. Hello, I'm ready to go. Plan something. Let's go plan something. I think this just might have to go home with me, this whole ensemble.
Can I tell you, this whole entire time, I never knew that had a gusseted bottom.
Really?
So you can load it up with all kinds
yeah,
of stuff.
a lot of these mesh bags have the gusseted
That's
bottom.
nice.
Oh, they are so nice because then they stand up on their own. Well, if
And
it
you
didn't
can-
have all that heavy
You can
stuff
load
in
them
it.
up.
You can load them up there. See, look, it stands up on. Well, it might not. Let me get the weight shifted right. Look at that. So, but I can just throw that in my tote bag. My tote bag goes everywhere I go. I always have my planner. Cappy asked me if I could work Saturday, January 22nd. I'll be writing that in my planner because I won't remember if I don't. So I think this is a pretty snifty. If you got gift certificates from Always in Stitches for Christmas, right there is what you could spend your gift certificate on. That's what I'd be spending my gift certificate on. So the Daily Planner from Lori Holt. Nice ensemble. So I was thinking about what to share with you today. And I thought about this quilt I had. I need to get it bound. This is it right here. I love this quilt. I think it's very attractive. I think it's stunning. I wish I would have made it bigger. So, it was a class. It was a retreat I took with Paula Barne. She makes fabric for Marcus Brothers Fabrics. And she owns the Red Crinoline quilt company. And she calls this block right here her potato chip block. And the reason she calls it her potato chip block is because you can't just make just one. So I thought it'd be a fun challenge. You can make them scrappy. These are all real scrappy. Look, it's a center fabric. The points are a different fabric. And then the outside is a different fabric. So it'd be a fun thing to do with scraps. A lot of times I go to the quilt store and I'm attracted by these bundles. I know you are too because we sell a lot of them. But of course this is, oh, my Cheddar bundle. But the bundles never seem to have enough lights in them. You know, look at all these darks compared to the 1, 2, 3, what I would consider 4 lights. These I don't consider light, those are kind of medium. 1, 2, 3, 4 lights out of all that fabric. So I noticed these were on the floor. I love these. I'm going to buy me a set of these today too because I did get some Christmas money. And so I'm going to be buying these. Now today we're having a sale. I don't know how long it lasts. Do you know how long it lasts, Peter? It starts today. I think it goes through New Year's.
It starts today.
Goes through New Year's maybe. But anyway, it is unbelievable. All of our clearance stuff. We had so much clearance stuff that we had to move it to our biggest classroom because of social distancing and all that, you know. The fat quarters, people. Fat quarters. Now, not the bundles, but the ones that are single. The single fat quarters. That you can just buy off the floor or off the, we got buckets and buckets of them, are $1.50.
I think we have 6,000.
6,000? Oh my gosh, 6,000 at $1.50 a piece? One of each. Okay, well, that's pretty exciting because $1.50 times 4 is $6 a yard. $6 a yard, people. Fabric, we can't even buy fabric for $6 a yard, I don't think.
There's lines out there that we just got 2 weeks ago.
And there's fat
where
quarters.
the fat quarters that people are buying this morning for $1.50.
Wow. See, you should come in. You should run in. Well, after you watch this video, okay? All right. But I just pulled a few out of my stash, some fat quarters that I had. I bought this bundle at Always in Stitches, and I just picked up a few of the colors that I thought would be fun in this quilt. And then I picked up some lights. But you see how I need this bundle of lights to go with my lights. So anyway, and I thought to myself, while I'm planning this year, I'm going to challenge myself to make me some potato chips. And as I'm making projects, I could cut my strips or my scraps up into strips and squares, which I've taught you before. And if I've already been doing that, I already have most of this quilt cut out probably at home. So what you need to make this square, see, this is a project that you don't really have a plan for. This is a project where you're just going to make the blocks, and after you give yourself some time, let's say a year, because we're planning the year. See how I worked that in there? Okay, give myself a year. Let's say I'm going to challenge myself to make 10 blocks a month. That give me 120 blocks. Wowza. I'll be having me a bed quilt made of these, right? Especially if I put them on point and I did something in between. I'm not even going to worry about the design. I'm only going to worry about making my potato chip block. So what I got here, let me show you. I wrote out kind of the thing. I don't know if Peter can see that. Peter?
Yeah, I can zoom in on that.
Can you zoom in on that?
Let me do some zoom. Zoom.
Okay. I gave you the recipe for the 4-inch finished block and the 8-inch finished block. Some people don't like to sew little like I do. So, 8-inch finished or 4-inch finished. And this is what you need for the 4-inch finish. You need one 2.5-inch square. Oh, maybe I'll show you that. And it can be anything. It can be light or dark. Okay? These right here are dark, but they could be light. It could be light or dark, either way. You need 2.5 by 1.5 inch. And that's going to be the inside of your flying geese. You can either make it dark inside or light inside. Okay? So it doesn't matter, but 2.5 by 1.5 or 4.5 by 2.5, depending upon what block you're making. Then you're going to need 4 1.5-inch squares of the light and 4 1.5-inch squares of the dark. And that's all you're going to need to make this potato chip block. So if you have strips cut 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches, and you've got squares cut, strips cut 2.5 inches and 4.5 inches, you're raring to go. All you have to do is subcut them down, okay? So, if you want all the same background, I brought some choices I thought I could use right here. All the same background, or if you want it scrappy. Got a dark, a medium, and a light for my background. It's really going to change the mood of your stars, depending upon what background you use. Or, again, I love Scrappy. I'm going to get rid of some scraps this year, okay? And then you could choose if you wanted all your stars to be the same color, if you've got a big hunk of fabric, or what if you wanted all your centers to be the same color? Now, I bought this in the clearance aisle. I couldn't stand it. I bought the rest of the bolt. So I've got a nice little chunk of it. What I could do is I could make all my centers be this. And then I could use it in my layout somehow. So I could really coordinate. But again, I like scraps. So I may save this and use it in the coordinating, but maybe not all in all the centers. And then I could also choose to make all my stars one color. But again, I'm going to use up my scraps. So I've got some scrappiness going on here. So let's talk about how to make our, well, I used my fun ruler. You know, I lay out my fat quarter. Here's my fat quarter. And this is my strip ruler. I love this strip ruler. I already straightened the edge. And out of this, I just need 1.5-inch strips. So I can just go along here and go 1.5, 3, 4.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6. Look at that. Then, if I had this on a turntable, I could turn it, but I'm just going to turn my body. I'm going to put that on a solid line. I'm going to go, let me move that over. See, I've got a salvage right there, so I'm going to move that over to the 0 line. See, here's my 0 line right here. See that? 0. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put that on my salvage line, so I'm cutting off that salvage. Now, I'm going to make one of these cuts 2.5. And then I'm going to make 2.5, 3.5, 4. That's another 1.5. So that gives me, look what that gives me. That gives me a bunch of squares.
That was really quick.
I know. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And
how
then,
many patterns have I shied away because it says cut 200 1.5-inch squares?
And see, if I open these up, I could still get another 1.5 inches out of these because that was on my fold. Oh. So I would be doing that. I'd be pressing those.
Pressing those puppies.
Pressing those puppies and getting them cut into 1.5 inches. And then this is just my scraps. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I could get 1 inch out of that. I'm going to save that. Okay. So, lickety split, I got a whole bunch of stuff already ready. Because here's, I need this, and I need this. So, look at that. And that was just, you know, out of a 5-inch strip of fabric. That's just a 5-inch strip of fat quarter, not even a whole length of fabric. So let's come over to my sewing machine. That's what you're here for, right? Meet me at the sewing machine. Alrighty. Now I want you to notice something. Got me a little ironing station here. Oh, let me go get the iron. Not only do I like to have a big ironing station, But I go into my, when I go to retreats, I like to have my own little ironing station at retreats. So this is the iron I take, the Oliso, I have no idea how to say that. So you say it however you want. But it's a little miniature iron. And what I love about it, mine's a teal one. Comes in pink and it comes in yellow. I think we only have yellow right now. Look at the point on that tip. Right there. I love to do miniatures.
You'll put your eye out.
And that just really creases right down and helps me open my seams. And you know how I love to open seams. I don't use the steam part, but what I do love about it is it has this handy dandy silicone mat. So you don't set it on its end because the cord's in the way. Okay, you could if you pulled the cord away. It does set up on its end, but most of the time I just flip it over here onto its silicone pad, and I don't even worry about it. I like to have me a little pressing station right here. Now I'm going to tell you a secret.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
There's one of these.
Don't tell them.
There's one of these out on the floor, unless it's been bought this morning already. But when I went out there this morning, there was a clapper out there. So I have my little miniature clapper, have my little miniature mat, wool mat here, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
And we sell that wool mat, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, we do. We sell that wool
I'll have to remember to link that in the description below.
Yeah.
I love mine.
Yeah, I love mine too.
It changed my quilting life.
I even have a little bitty one that a friend got me. Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah. So
is it on a keychain?
No.
Oh.
It's actually, I use it. Okay, I'm ready to start making my flying geese. This is my flying geese. A lot of people say, ooh, I hate flying geese, okay? Now, I don't mind a flying geese at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of like to make flying geese.
They're fun.
They're fun. But to make a flying geese, you either need to mark your block corner to corner so that you have a diagonal line to follow, or you need to set yourself up with a line that shows you where your needle is all the way out to the bed of your sewing machine. I just do that with a piece of blue tape, a ruler, and a marking pen, and then I put a piece of packing tape over it so I'm not wearing the ink off of my my blue tape. There's all kinds of gadgety things that you can buy to do that with, but I like doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that corner right there of that 1.5 inch square right at my needle, and I'm going to put my other corner directly diagonal on that line. This is my needle line right here. I'm just going to sew. And I'm going to pick up my next one. Right sides together. And if I was making, let's say I wanted to make, I was going to spend 15 minutes a day, each day, making potato chips. Well, I'd have to spend some prep time getting all my little things together. I'd get me one of these boards. I'd get me a stack of these 2.5 inch or 4.5 if you're making the bigger one. And I'd get me a stack of these in sets of 4, the same color. Stack of these in sets of 4, the same color. And a stack of these in sets of 4 of the same color. Then, at a moment's notice, first thing I get up, I don't drink coffee. I drink Dr. Pepper. Get my Dr. Pepper, get my devotions read, decide, look at my calendar, see what I got going for the day. My new Lori Holt calendar. See what I got going on. Make sure Dad's doing good. Then, if I've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I can just get my board out. Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. You know what? I needed 8 of these. I said 4, but I need 8. I need 8 of these. Let me change that on my paper. And I had 8 cut. I don't know what happened to them. Here's my marker. Instead of 4 of these, I need 8 of these. Can you take a shot of that so that they get the better?
The recipe.
The recipe. The modified recipe. Okay, now I know I had 8 of those things cut.
8 of what?
8 of these cut. So, look what's going to happen now that I can't find them. Look, all I have to do, get my fabric out. Straighten the edge. I don't know what happened to those. Oh, yes I do too. They're down in my 1.5 inch drawer. Yay! Down in my 1.5 inch drawer. Right here they are. I knew I cut them. But all I was going to have to do is use my little fast ruler there and cut some. Chair's not rolling very good today. I've gained some weight maybe. Okay, here we go. So I could just sit and do this for 15 minutes. And all I've done, I don't know what they can see and what they can't see, Peter. Here. Look. All I've done is I've sewn from corner to corner. Now let me give you a little tip. If you're going to sew your flying geese this way, and there's a dozen ways to make a flying geese. Okay, you can take 2 half square triangles and sew them together, and if the inside fabric is the same, you'll have a seam right here, but it'll look exactly like a flying geese. If you want to do them that way, that's fine too. I enjoy doing them this way. But I always start my flying geese here where the fabric is solid. Instead of being on a point, see how I've got a nice solid piece of fabric excuse me, underneath me? See, here's my fabric. There's my fabric. If I started sewing right here, I'm more apt to lose that point down into my sewing machine. So if when I sew, I would start up here, that's less likely to happen. See that? So, 1, 2, 3. I gotta sew this one. So see what I mean? I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine. I'm gonna put the needle right at that point. And then, of course, my other point is here at my needle line. And you could just sew, and we call that chain piecing, where you just keep on sewing them. So now I've got them here, got my little scissors here. I'm just gonna cut away. Now, don't cut over here. That would be kind of silly because you're cutting off all your stuff. Cut away the part that you would throw away. Okay? Over here, cut this part away. Now here's one where I'm doing them darks on the inside and lights on the outside. You can do them either way. As long as you're consistent. As long as you have a group of each. Now usually I'd have to get up, go to my pressing station, and press these. But I only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to just have my little station right here. And look at how convenient this is. And my space isn't very big here, is it, Peter? No.
It's compact.
It's very compact, but look. Got my clapper, I'm pressing open. Now, a lot of people say, oh, my flying geese never work when I do them that way. They never work when I just sew a corner. We call this a connecting corner. When I sew a corner onto the long piece. Well, the reason being is because a lot of times if you're pressing open like this, some of your fabric is eaten up by this little bitty fold right here. And when you press that open, you can feel that there's a nice little fold there. Well, you know what happens when you fold something and fold something and fold something? Well, it keeps getting smaller and the fold is bulky. The fold is always bulkier on one side than it is on. That's why when you have fat quarters, and you put all the folds on one side. See, here's the fold, here's the fold, here's the fold. Here's the fold. They get lopsided. There's the fold. There's the fold. They'll be shorter and they'll start to fall because they get lopsided because the fold is thicker than the other part. So to eliminate that bulk, that's why I press open. There's a method to my madness. So now that's nice and flat. I wish this was feel-o-vision, because then you could just feel that. It's nice and flat, okay? So can you see that that is half of that? It's half of that. Now all I have to do is put the other side of my goose on. Are these the wings? I think these are the wings and the middle part is the goose. I don't really know. Okay, again, I'm going to start here where the width of my fabric is more secure than that point right there. Okay. Put that right underneath my needle. Take my other point, put it on my needle line. And I got a flying geese. Now, I'm going to cut my excess off, bring it to my little pressing station, and look, I don't have to move. How many of these could I get done in 15 minutes, you say? I don't know, but I'm going to time myself at home just to see. I think that'd be fun. Now, the other thing is people get worried and they say, oh my gosh, my point is way down there. Oh my goodness, what in the world?
What happened?
What happened? I've done something wrong. Well, that's your seam allowance, okay? You want that to be down 1/4 of an inch, at least 1/4 of an inch. Because when you sew it together on your block, you want the point to be right at the 1/4 inch. So, let's make our light ones. And of course, this is the most time-consuming part of the whole block. But once you've got these little flying geese made, and I just love making 1.5 inch by 2.5 inch flying geese. I love them almost as much as I love making 9 patches. So let's say, for instance, I just want to do some non-thinking sewing, you know, where I don't have to think about math. I don't have to think about, am I putting the right thing in the right place? I can just sit and make little baby flying geese for 15 minutes. See how many, I'm going to set the timer. When I get home, I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to have all my prep work done, okay? I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to see how many flying geese, and next week I'm going to tell you how many flying geese I can do in 15 minutes. That'll be fun. Why don't you guys do the same? Why don't you guys try it, okay? Of course, you people who are making them bigger, it might take you might not get as many done because it'll take a little bit more time because there's more sewing. But we'll allow you that allowance, okay? Now when I chain piece, I like to get my little gizmo out so I can cut. And then again, I'm going to cut off the little extra. Now, do I have to be really specific whether that's 1/4 of an inch? No, I just don't want to cut too close to my seam that it unravels. Okay? So I'm not going to be, and wouldn't this be fun to put in a jar? I might bring me a jar and put my little flying
confetti.
Geese, yeah, my little flying geese confetti in. I mean, a little fun jar.
I love quilters
colors.
confetti.
Quilters confetti. Now, when they're little, they're called quilter seeds. You can put them in your garden. And then you get little quilts sprouting up. Quilter seeds. I love this little iron.
It's hot, isn't it?
It is. It
And
gets
stays,
really hot.
And it stays hot.
And it stays really hot. And
it glides too, super smooth.
I love that point. And it just sits right down on that little silicone pad.
I like it because it has a small footprint. You can set it up on your right next to your sewing machine.
Exactly. Look at that. Now my calendar's going to be over with in a week, but I got a new Chloe calendar for Christmas. It's a year of Chloe's. I can't hardly stand it. It's so cute. So we're going to have a calendar of Chloe's next year. Here in the, meet me at the sewing machine. Okay, now why am I putting them underneath there? That's my clapper. We've talked about the clapper. I haven't been able to get them for months. We have one left.
We couldn't get that thing for 8 months?
Oh yeah, it's been months.
Has it been 8?
Months and months and
Since
months.
January.
Yeah. So hopefully the clapper wagon has
12
come
months.
in.
We haven't been able to get them for 12 months.
I don't know, it's crazy. But anyway, that helps flatten my seam out. Okay, now I've got all my little flying geese made.
And now we won't be able to get them for another 12 months.
We won't be able to get them for another 12 months. Now these are the points to my star. Look at that. Now if I'm not sure about my
I'm glad she has those measurements on, or I'm glad you have those measurements on the 1/2 inch. I did a flying geese, and every measurement was 1/8 of an inch. And I just tell you what,
wowza.
I'm like, why couldn't they just make it halves?
Yeah,
Why?
Wowza. Okay, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your flying geese is still 2.5 by 1.5, which was what the original piece of fabric was. Remember that? So,
what size are yours?
I'm going to look and see. This is exactly a 2.5 inch ruler. So they're 2.5 by 1.5.
Well, that's handy.
If they weren't, I'd just trim off the little excess. Okay? But
what?
If I do, I am going to make sure that that point stays under the 1/4 inch mark. See my point right there? And this is a 1/4 inch mark right here.
I see your point.
Okay, get the point? I'm not going to cut anything beyond that.
Right.
I want to make sure I have a 1/4 inch there. Because, buddy, if I don't, I'm not going to have nice points to my star. So now I set my star. Okay, so let's say I've spent all morning making flying geese. My flying geese are all done. Well, for the day. Then tomorrow I'm going to come back and I'm going to set up my little potato chip block. Now, if you get in here real close, Peter, you can see I've used a background that has direction.
Oh, look at that, Dawn.
Do you see that directional background?
Yeah.
See this background here?
I changed one of the squares on you, but it looks like you changed it back.
No, I didn't. See, these go, and then these go. Now, you can have these go this way, or you can have them go this way. It doesn't matter, or you don't even have to worry about it. It's up to you. In a Scrappy quilt, I wouldn't even worry about it myself. But I wanted to point out directional fabric versus a well, that is kind of directional, isn't it? With all those flowers growing up. Let's get another one here. Yeah, this non-directional. See the difference? Directional, non-directional. So if that bothers you that these are not all going the same direction, don't use a directional print when you're cutting. Because if you do, you're going to have to cut some of your strips this way and some of your strips the width of fabric, some the length of fabric.
Yeah, and on yours, if you use also directional fabric on the tips,
yeah,
point to the tips. Yeah, that I've run into that, and that would drive me crazy.
Would it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I want it to orient it so when I'm looking at the block, it looks really nice.
Yeah.
And some prints are high contrast, so it'll play games with you.
And I tell you what, it's more noticeable on the 8-inch block than it would be on the 4-inch block. Okay?
I'm still doing 12-inch blocks.
Oh, 12-inch blocks. Well,
yeah, I haven't
I could give you the
gotten down to
formula
8-inch
to
yet.
that, but right now I think we're gonna stick with the 8-inch.
I love how it looks so small. That's the whole
4-inch.
point.
Yeah, that's
is to
so
use those
cute.
tiny little 1.5-inch scraps.
Well, yeah, and use up your scraps. But you'll use up more scraps if you make the 8-inch block because the things will be bigger. But my scraps tend to be small because so small. So it depends upon where you're at in your sewing scrap career.
Well, when I was listening to your point about the 4-inch and the measurement sizes, it seems like every time I do a fat quarter bundle quilt, I have fabric left, lots of strips. I got lots of strips left.
Sure.
And I love the idea that I know if I pick up that pile of strips, I can do those 4-inch blocks.
Right, and you've already got them organized because they're in your drawers. Remember the drawer system that we talked about a few videos
How to
back?
organize your scraps?
Yeah, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. And if you have those strips already cut, then you're halfway there. It's awesome. That's why I love to do that.
Well begun is half done.
I know. Now I've laid out my block. So what I would do is, at the end of my sewing time or at the beginning of my sewing time the next day, I'd stack up all my flying geese that I made into these little potato chips blocks. Now this is like a 9-patch. See that? 9-patch, 9-patch. See how there's 9 pieces?
999.
999. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick that up. Now I'm going to use my 1/4 inch. Got my little gauge here, 1/4 inch gauge. You know what's wrong? Got my shoes on.
Yeah.
Man, I just can't sew with my shoes on. Okay,
I know,
look,
I
I'm going to
can't
flip
either.
this one over. Now that 2.5 inch flying geese should just sit right on that 2.5 inch square lickety split. I'm not even pinning. If I was making the bigger one, I probably would be pinning. But since I'm not making the bigger one, I'm not doing any pinning.
4-inch blocks, you don't have to pin.
Well,
I love it.
On these little 1.5 inch things. Now when I start putting the rows together, I'd be pinning.
You be pinning?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just so everybody knows, we did get a shipment of those, your favorite.
My straight pins?
Your patchwork pens.
Patchwork
With the
pens.
glass beaded heads.
Yeah. So now I'm just going to press this. Open, of course.
But those will probably be sold out by the end of the day.
You think?
Yeah. Because we have a
People have been waiting on them.
We have a dawn display now at the front of the shop
Well,
where people can come in.
It's as seen on our YouTube channel.
I just call it the dawn display.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how they have those as seen on TV? And if you buy today, you get a second one for $19.95. Yeah, we're not doing that deal.
No.
But we've got as seen on YouTube.
As seen on our YouTube channel.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So here, go back. Put my... That goes there. This actually goes up here. Make sure they put things back the way they go. Now I'm going to flip this one over. So, and of course, you know, I'd have a whole stack of these. I wouldn't just have one.
Now, when you say you have a whole stack, do you stack them all together right here, all on top of each other?
Yes, I would.
I believe that's how I've seen you do it.
Yes, I would.
Can I say I tried that once and I loved it?
Yeah.
I loved it.
You don't even have to think.
I only tried it once because it was the last project I've worked on. I haven't worked on another project since.
You didn't sew it all during Christmas break?
Uh-uh. Isn't that weird?
Well, you
And
know.
I couldn't remember what I did with my knitting. I thought I was going to do some knitting, and I'm like, what did I do with my knitting?
Oh, no.
And I was trying to trace my steps. Did I bring it home? Did I bring it? Because I always work on it on my lunch break.
Yeah.
And I found it in the back seat of my truck this morning.
Oh, my. Well, I've lost a pair of pajamas. I bought myself a new pair of pajamas for Christmas. Can't find them. Can't find them anywhere. Don't know what I've done with them. I don't know. I hope whoever's got them is enjoying them. Whether that be Chloe or some other character that came in my house and took my pajamas, my Christmas pajamas. They're in a bag somewhere. Just maybe they're with your knitting. Okay, so I'd spend one day, my 15 minutes of my next day. Let me get that pressed. Maybe just sewing my 3 rows together on all my blocks. Okay. But what I love about this thing is, this way of doing it, is you don't have to move. I mean, you're at your sewing machine 15 minutes a day. Do you know how much sewing you're going to be able to get done in 15 minutes?
A whole lot.
You would be surprised.
A lot more than you'd think.
You'd be surprised. Now, if you have to skip a day, it's no big deal. You know, if you can't do it 15 minutes a day, maybe an hour every Sunday or an hour every Wednesday or whatever works into your schedule. You know, whatever works into your schedule. And you've got a schedule because you've got the new Lori Holt day planner. So that's going to help you find some more hours in your day, hopefully.
You'll be very productive when you get a bee in your bonnet.
Yeah, so maybe one day I just spend 15 minutes a day just getting the rows made. See that?
One of our customers that came in on Thursday, I believe it was, she had made a cover. She quilted a cover for her Lori Holt calendar.
Really?
Yeah, it was beautiful. She used Lori Holt fabric.
Ooh, I wish I could have seen that. Well, I have my mesh bag. Okay, now look, I'm pinning. My seams are open, so they're easy to match up.
Of course, if I made a cover for my book, I'd have to do the horse. There's a horse one in her Farm Girl Vintage too.
Oh yeah, that'd be a farm. And is that I think that's a 12-inch block, or it can be a 6-inch block. I think she does that a lot. Let's see how that's working out. Okay, now I'm on my 3rd day of my 15 minutes. I'm just going to work as much as I can on whatever I can. Not going to get all bent out of shape. And maybe by the end of the week, I might have 5. That'd be a nice goal. Have 5
Well, you know what I just thought of?
potato chip blocks made. What?
This would be a great warm-up block. Say you want to warm yourself up before you get onto your
Great.
major project. You
Yes.
could just do 15 minutes of this and
Yes,
then dig
it's
into
like
your project.
aerobics, and you have to warm up your bones.
Warm up your sewing
Warm
muscles.
up your sewing machine bones. Okay, look at how pretty that's looking.
Man, that's awesome, Dawn.
I love this.
You should do this
And
for a living.
it's the potato chip block. That's now that I didn't come up with that. That's Paula Barnes.
Paula Barnes.
Paula Barnes.
Love her work.
She came up with that, and ever since she said that, and that was a retreat I went to about 5 years ago. I've never forgot that. The potato chip block. Now we're not planning a quilt, so over the next year, you know, I'm gonna say to myself, okay, Dawn, that's my name, Dawn, let's make some potato chip blocks. Maybe today's the day I just cut some fabric. Maybe today's the day I just sew some flying geese. Maybe today's the day I sew the 9 patches together.
Well, and I bet you have that memorized.
Yeah.
To where
You don't have to think about it.
You don't have to think about it.
No.
It's just no think sewing.
Right. Well,
Super
and
fun.
once you've got it cut out and laid out on your
Oh.
board and they're all stacked up, I mean, you know, there's just no thinking about it. Now here's one potato chip block. I did all that talking. And my sewing, my ironing's, my pressing's right here. Little pressing station.
And you don't need a big iron for that
No, because the seams are little.
for that roll. What is it called? Clapper.
Clapper.
Yeah, you don't need a big iron for that clapper.
No. And look at this. Potato chip block made. Finished. Now look at how different it would look if my points were the lights.
What?
And then this.
Ooh,
You see that?
love it.
See how different that would look?
Love it.
You could make half of them this way and half of them this way. And then you'd have half dark stars and half light stars. Now, would that be fun?
Yes.
Oh, I think that would just really be lots of fun. So I'm going to do that too, I think. I think I'm going to make some light stars and some light potato chips and dark potato chips. Wavies or plain?
You know what, Dawn?
Nacho flavored or sour cream and chives? I'm telling you, I crack myself up. What?
There's this wonderful woman I got to meet. Her name's Tammy.
Oh, yeah, Tammy Vonderschmidt.
That's the one.
I love her.
And so for a brief second, because I was at work,
Yeah.
and she was doing her little her awesome presentation.
Uh-huh.
She showed how you can totally, just by changing, like say the outside squares,
Right,
or just changing the background.
right. It
I
changes
mean-
the look of everything, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I loved it.
So anyway, I think this is going to be lots of fun. I'm going to challenge you to make some potato chip squares, whether you make one a month, or you make 5 a month, or you make 25 a month. That's going to be up to you. Get your planner out, do some planning, or fly by the seat of your pants, whatever you want to do. But let's make some potato chip blocks together. And then as the year goes by, we're going to search on Pinterest. We're going to look through all of our quilt books, and we're going to look out for some fun layout designs on how we want to lay out our potato chip blocks. Once we have them, what are we going to do with them? So start gathering up some ideas, okay? And maybe you could share them with us. You know, we have an insiders group here at Always in Stitches. You can post some pictures there. We have our Facebook group. You can post pictures there. We have Instagram. Can they post pictures on Instagram, Peter?
They can tag us.
They can tag us. I don't know what that means, but go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. Tag us.
Now, I tell you what, on the YouTube channel, there's some kind of algorithm, megarhythm. I don't know what kind of rhythm, because I don't have a lot of rhythm. I'm a white girl, you know, not a lot of rhythm. But I think it has to do with how many people hit the like button and how many people subscribe and then hit the little bell to get notifications. I think all that helps us somehow. And so if you would do that for me, I would really appreciate it. I think it puts us like at the top of things and more people get to see it. And maybe you could even share this with your friends. Is there a share button, Peter?
Yep.
And what does that do when you hit that share button? Does it go to all your Facebook friends, or how does that work?
It goes to your Facebook page.
It goes to your Facebook page, and then all your
Facebook.
Then all your Facebook friends would be able to see our videos, or at least draw attention to our videos and see if it'd be something they might be interested in. So if you have sewing friends that you, or even if you have friends you don't like, say, look at this girl, she's kind of silly. And you could show them our channel, and they could look at it, and maybe they would like it. Maybe they find something interesting about it. But that surely would be good of you if you do that. So appreciate it. And next time I see you, it'll be 2022. And I'll have a new Chloe calendar. So make some potato chip blocks. And next time when I come back next Monday, I'll be able to tell you how many 1.5 by 2.5 inch flying geese I can make in 15 minutes. I'm going to already have the fabric cut out, okay? So that's not including cutting them out. So the challenge is on. I'll meet you back at the sewing machine next Monday. Bye-bye.